Hey everybody, with the Paladin Network, this is Joseph Freshwater, Paladin community organizer, and Michael Angelo Russo,
Hey guys.
the other organizer of the Northern Paladins. And we are coming to you today with a little short about our favorite new format, Revised 40. Woo!
In the beginning, there was only Revised, and then we played lots of Magic. So we wanted to talk about the beginning of where we came up with the idea for this format. Obviously, the heritage is seeing all the awesome Alpha 40 stuff that was out there, and we were messing around with Alpha 40.
Shout out to Drew.
Heck yeah, and everybody who's playing in the Alpha 40 community worldwide. So we started to think, well, we know what, our player group, I don't think we can afford Alpha, and it's super cool, and we started to collect them, but we wanted everyone to be able to play, so we did something called the Northern Paladins.
I came up with an idea which was Paladin 40.
Yeah.
We wanted to distinguish. I tried to find a way that broke guys like me can play with people like Jeremy Jones and Angelo, who are shop owners and people who are good with business. Our community is made up of all different levels. I work at a pet shop. My pet shop's awesome. But I can't sit and afford tons of Alpha all the time and be at the same level as the rares that guys are playing some of these Alpha decks with. So I'm like, how can we bridge the two communities? So we did Paladin 40. What Paladin 40 was taking revised cards, playing with the spirit of the community, that we would build things kind of like the Alpha guys could do.
Sure.
And I thought that would work, but it just turned out that it didn't.
So let's talk about what didn't work in our experiment and what we learned. So first off, we also allowed like collector's edition, any version that was, basically of the card pool of Alpha 40.
Same picture, same border, same art.
Yep, the same idea. And then unrestricted amounts of cards, whatever you want to run.
Yep, there was no real rules about like how we're doing Revised 40 now with the tier groups where you can have 5 rares, 10 uncommons, unlimited commons, 3 of a kind. That wasn't in effect. It was just kind of, hey, you want to play your 5 Shivan Dragons, 3 Lightning Bolts? You could do that in Alpha 40. You can do that in Revised.
Sure. So as we were playing, we would start to see that the power creep of the decks just kept escalating, which is cool if you are having to slowly get cards and collect them like the Alpha guys are doing, right?
Yep.
But for us, it was like easy, boom. We're just like at level 110 already.
And the Revised players would always crush the Alpha players, but some of the Alpha players are so nice that you could tell that they weren't enjoying it or having a great time, but they wouldn't say anything. And I just kind of sat back and I'm like, this really isn't working. We got to find a solution. So we kind of shelved it, didn't we? Yeah,
so basically it just kind of petered out. We kind of like fizzled out because it was neat. Everyone was excited. We're all excited about this stuff. And then it just kind of like, yeah, those games kind of seemed kind of degenerate. They weren't that much fun. So let's set it aside and think about what went right. So what was awesome was we were playing with a fixed pool of old cards that we loved. That was the thing that was like the genesis for the next stage of this experiment. Then we started to think about, well, what would be a reasonable way to give everyone access to a format like that. And I think our original iteration was 3 rares maximum, 9 uncommons maximum, no more than 3 copies of any of them, because in a 40-card deck, 3 copies is actually more consistent than 4 cards in a 60-card deck. It's like 4.5, roughly, the math would, I think. You can correct me, Internet, I'm sure I did that wrong. Anyway, but that's rough, okay? So now we have some basic build rules, and we started to play with those decks and see how they were balanced, and we realized maybe we could amp up the power a little bit, so we increased it to 5 rares and 10 uncommons, and we made sure Lightning Bolt was restricted as a uncommon.
Uncommon, had to be, because it was funny. I went to dinner with one of my friends, Phil. I love this guy, Phil. But you know how they talk about how there's Johnnies and there's Spikes and there's Timmies?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, my friend Phil is a Spike, and I love him to death. I've known him forever. First thing we had at dinner, the conversation was, well, I'm going to build 15 Lightning Bolts. And I thought about it, and I'm like, I know you are going to build 15 Lightning Bolts. How does me or someone else who is a Johnny get to play with my Grizzly Bears and Giant Girls?
Sure.
And so we just kind of thought about that, and that's where the rule levels came in. Now, we know that there's a lot of players that have their decks, whether they are Atlantic players, Eternal Central players, they don't want to take those decks apart to work with their Revised 40 deck.
Yeah.
How can we fit it in where everyone can play, where you can borrow these decks to friends and we're like, 5 rares. It's a great. You don't have to use duels. You could use duels if you wanted to.
And if you do use duels, you have to let go of another powerful rare slot for
That's
it.
one
so
less
it's
shipping.
really balanced, right?
Yep, it's really balanced in there. Now, I'm able to make decks that are 2 colors and not worry about not using duels because I want to use a doppelganger. I want to use my nightmare, and you just don't have to think about using duels if you don't want to. But I think that could fit in if you enjoyed playing that style.
So far, the new experiment has panned out pretty well. We've got about 370 people in our community right now. I'm putting pairings up this evening for, I think 32 people have signed up for our first month's league.
It's going tonight. It's going to be fun.
I think players will be playing 3 or 4 rounds in their preliminary Swiss rounds, and during the last week of April, we'll have our finals, and we'll get to see some beautiful decks at the end of this first part of the organized play side of the experiment. It's not even disorganized play because it's just Facebook, guys, and it's to have fun. So you're going to get to meet some old new friends, is the way I like to put it.
For this particular tournament, we plan to have there be creative. Me and Angelo do things for the Paladin community where we alter cards in a specific Paladin flavor way that's collectible, and we give them for prizes when we have big local events that people fly in from different parts of the world. Shout out to our guys in France that we like to have visit every now and then. We will ship these prizes out to the Revised 40 community, one for creative, and I think one for finish.
I think we're going to do some. Everybody who makes it to the finals is going to get a card. They won their bracket, as well as creative finishes and any of the decks that we see that are just like awe-inspiring. We're super like, wow, we would never have thought of that. You're going to get something special.
We really believe in this format. We're willing to ship it out on our dime, and we're very grateful that the community as a whole understands there's lots of ways to play any format. We don't own Revised 40. But we're trying to offer to you guys, this is a set way. We're willing to do the work. Give it a try. Come play with us. Let's see how it goes. I think we can have a lot of fun. If everyone's doing their own thing, it's fun. But you're not going to get 300 players doing their own thing in a big community having a good time. So I think we're going to go with these rules, see how it goes.
Absolutely.
The Paladin community is big enough, and this is a part of our lifestyle, is organizing tournaments and getting people to gather together and have fun. So we'll organize it, and we'll kind of make some videos and send some good stuff out for you. If you're willing to invest a little bit, get some revised decks, get up maybe 3 or 4 decks, bring them to your own local play groups, put them on the table, see how people like it.
Yeah, it's a good pickup format, something that's casual in between rounds of EC, Swedish, 93 to 95, Singleton, old school. Whatever you play, man, this is something that fits in your wheelhouse as a different way to meet people and have more fun playing Magic with more people. That's literally the reason why we're doing it.
You also don't have to worry about, if you bring 5 decks to a table, they might cost you $20 each. That's less than 1 card in many of your players' decks. Letting your friend borrow your deck. So if you're both playing, hey, do you want to try my deck this round? I'll try your deck. There's so many things that Revised 40 can open up that I'm really, really enjoying it. And I think that's why it's having such an organic growth.
No wrong way to play Magic, guys. So have fun, tap those cards. We'll see you next time. If you have any questions or comments, we'll try our best to answer you.